Restless and Rebellious. This lesson looks at several stories from ancient Israel. After the miracles, power, and care that God demonstrated for them, one would think that things would have been easy from there. God just tells us what to do and we will follow. But it didn't work this way, did it? We see instead unhappy people, we see jealousy, we see rebellions, mistrust, doubts, presumptions. Why? So, restless and rebellious. Is there a link between these two, between rebellion and restlessness?
Yeah. Okay, first, everybody can become restless. I hope you agree with me. To lose your ability to relax or to control your anxiety and boredom. Everybody can become unhappy or unsatisfied at some point in their life. So restlessness is more of a state of the mind and state of the emotions. Restlessness appears as an indication that I have already lost the way of rest in a spiritual sense. What usually follows then is a reaction. We cannot stay in this state forever. Once we start taking an action in the same direction in an uncontrolled manner, following our emotions, we start acting rebellious. So there is a link between restlessness and rebellion. And the rebellion is the wrong answer to restlessness.
The lesson says that restlessness leads to rebellion, and that restlessness is rooted in sin when we cannot rest on Christ, and that it's contagious. It's crazy how when it's someone else's story, we can see easily how ridiculous the behavior is. Israel was craving the cucumbers, the garlic, and meat from Egypt, from all places. Really? But don't we do the same thing? As them as well, we get scared when God asks us to trust Him and to take over the promised land. But when He shows us the detour that we will need to take because we got scared, as them, we say, no, we are going forward and causing our own misery.
Yeah, when reading the lesson, I've been thinking a moment of restlessness can grow all of a sudden into a state of restlessness and then into a rebellion. A moment like this can be dangerous. It's the moment when we can lose the control over our privilege of having the choice to follow Christ because we have given up His space to some strong emotions like fear and jealousy and ambition. We would not be in Christ's rest anymore at this moment. We would not be trusting Christ at this moment, but just the opposite, since there is no other alternative anymore. We might grow then into a state of rebellion against God. This is how it happened for Israel. They wanted meat, cucumbers, onions, garlic, and melons. God's provision of manna was not enough for them, and they got struck by a plague. This is how it happened also for Miriam and Aaron. When they wanted more exclusive power, as much as Moses had, and in the result, Miriam got leprosy. Restlessness is in between rest and rebellion. It's a dangerous place to be in. And from there, it could go either way. It's not a good spot. It is where we feel like struggling to continue walking in faith, but we are not if we don't move forward.
And I think that this lesson is very serious and very important for each one of us to check ourselves for that. Do we have peace in Christ? As Christians that pretend for that? Or are we restless, unsatisfied, unhappy? There are definitely struggles, there are many unsettling things around, but how is our spirit? How is our attitude and our rest? Moses as intercessor, in these stories with Israel, we see it is something as well very interesting that it shows. It demonstrates something huge for me. When we let God in us, when we let Him to start replacing pieces of us with pieces that reflects Him, then suddenly from restless, we can become intercessors.
Yeah, and at the end, I'm thinking, how do I make the right choice when I get into this moment or state of restlessness? In moments like this, I believe we need to hold on to God's promises and God's provisions. And then we're going to pass safely. Let's think about Moses. Moses was revealed as a great man because he was a humble man, because he has learned the ability to depend on God's advice in moments like that. His focus was on searching for God and for his intervention in moments like that. And then the burden of restlessness crumbled down on itself.
Faith versus presumption. It's interesting how the authors put it. And if we are honest, we will see that many times what we think that it's faith, what we call faith, what is our faith, may be actually just a presumption. Even in the different meanings of this word, like something that we think that is true, that we have accepted to be true, but that lack the relationship and the trust in God, or an arrogant and disgraceful behavior, disrespectful behavior. Well, I hope that you find this subject important as well and personally, and that you join us again next week to continue the study with the lesson, The Root of Restlessness.